I made the whole world a glacial snowball in Europa Universalis. Every province in the game is now glacial terrain, meaning an extra 50% development cost exists. And to add to that, I set every province in the world to 3 development with 1 base development in tax, production, and manpower each. The lack of development means everyone is going to be on a much more even playing field, with taxes and trade barely existing in 1444 and manpower being very hard to come by early. Who shall prevail? Who shall overcome? Who shall end the game with the most development? Well, let's watch and find out. Question of the day, what is your favorite building type in EU4? I'm pretty keen on production, but that's because I like to spam production dev, so you get good bang for buck, but I'm sure you guys have some opinions, so go ahead and leave them in the comments below. As you can see here, the whole world is Canada in the wintertime, only it is this way all the time, year round. Every single province in the world, like I would have said in the intro, is glacial, with a -1 dice roll for attacker, but more importantly, a 50% local development cost malus. So safe to say it's going to hurt them, especially when every province in the world has so little dev that it's actually black. I don't know why it's black. I think it has something to do with how it calculates the average, but every single province in the world is 3 dev, except for a couple of these random migratory natives over here because tribal development is weird, I guess. But aside from that, it's all 3 development. But you guys know that in order to find out what's going to happen, we're going to have to go up to speed 5 and unpause. And after letting the month tick over, you can see the English channel has 3.6 ducats of value in it. Genoa has 3.5, Venice has 2.7. So yeah, not a whole lot of trade value in the world. And for some reason, the holy city of Mecca is now 9 development. Inshallah, there shall be development in the lands of the Muslim. And you can see here that Ming only has 333 development. They are the #1 great power. And then as you go down the list, you're going to see Denmark and VJ are hovering around 100 development for the 7th and 8th spot. So safe to say, it is going to be extremely, extremely close for a lot of nations early on. England is only gaining 200 manpower per month, and they're huge. The Ottomans are only gaining 275. So yeah, these guys, it's going to be a very close game early on. Let's let some time pass and see what happens. And only 3 short years in, and Timurids have gained quite a bit of development, which makes sense because if all these provinces are only 3 dev, it's like 0 AE to conquer it. So looks like they are absolutely wasting no time in pushing towards Delhi and using their missions to get to the Mughals, which that would be pretty cool to see the Mughals form. In a little under 4 years in, we have our first couple bits of development. We have 5 development over here in Zaragoza. Paris is 4, London is 4. A couple of other small towns here are 4. But it looks like that is about it. And of course, Constantinople is 14 because of the Ottomans event that gives them development in Constantinople. So it seems like the City of World's Desires really is the City of World's Desires, at least in 1448. We're not even 10 years in, and Castile almost full annexed Aragon, even kicking them out of some of the lands over here in Sicily. So safe to say the low dev is both a blessing and a curse because it hurts their economy, but man, is it easy to conquer a lot of land at once. And it looks like Castile is even feeling frisky enough to get to war with France, pushing up here. So we'll see how things go for them. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily convinced. And I don't even know how border gore like this happens. The Ming pushed up into Oirat. Oirat is gone, but Cochin, for some reason, has the most wild-looking borders all the way out, pushing past Lake Baikal, with Ming up in Manchuria, and then Jiangsu annexing the majority of the development up here in Manchuria. So yeah, I don't know. They actually pushed Korea basically out of Korea as well. So definitely seeing some weird border changes here. Yeah, take a look at this. France has 2,000 manpower and 6,000 men in the field, while Castile only has 6,000 men in the field with almost 10,000 9 So yeah, I don't understand how these guys are even landing armies, considering how desolate their lands are. But they're doing it and they're making it happen. It's only a matter of time before things start to really start picking up. There's going to have to be a bit of development because if we want to see colonialism spawn, I think it has to be at least a level 2 center of trade or a 12 dev coastal province. So it'll form probably in Portugal or London, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And Tim absolutely going off, pushing up into Nogai across the Straits of Hormuz. So safe to say they're going to be controlling a lot of the trade over here. And now they're at war with Multan to get some land down here in northern India and the Punjab. So yeah, Timurid's definitely having a good start. Oh yeah, Castile took a lot of land in southern France. I mean, I'm used to taking land in France and getting a coalition, but these guys get to do it for free because there's literally no development down here. So yeah, like I said, a blessing and a curse for sure. We are almost 30 years in, and the Teutons are absolutely popping off, gobbling up a lot of the land of Poland, splitting it with Muscovy pushing well into Lithuania, who is getting pushed out of Ruthenia by Galicia Volhynia. So a lot of Inyas in the names. Portugal, Castile, and the Ottomans up there in Corsica have split a few of the islands over here, as well as the northern portions of Africa. The Timurids having a very good game, definitely conquering Delhi, so I assume it's going to be very quickly we will see the Mughals form. In India, Bengal is a one-province minor getting eaten up by Orissa, splitting most of the development of India with the Timurids, Mewar, and Vijay. And funnily enough, Manchu has formed, but Korea has taken back Korea, and Manchu is currently losing a war to Ming, so we'll see how things go with that. So taking a look, it looks like the Ottomans may have stepped in it. They are in a pretty big war against Austria, Hungary, Bohemia, who are all PUs under Austria, and they're getting absolutely dogpiled. And if you take a little bit of a look down here to the south, you can see the Mamluks just got absolutely clapped by QQ, and they are continuing to lose a war against Ethiopia right now. Also, the Mughals have indeed formed, so there is definitely a whole lot of interesting stuff going on over here in the Middle East / this sort of region of the world. I don't know. And 40 years in, you can see Ming is still in the #1 spot, but Austria actually has more development than Ming did in 1444, as does Castile and the Mughals. So things are looking pretty good for the top 4. Ottomans are down to 260, and I think they're about to lose quite a bit in the war that they're in right now. QQ just gained a bunch, so they're probably going to eclipse the Ottomans. Muscovy and then Kazan out there in the steppes / Russia are doing okay, but at least nobody is sub 100 anymore. That was painful to see. That's like late game EU4 when you're going for world conquest. You see numbers like that. And the development map mode continues to slowly tick up over time. You can see Constantinople is up to a whopping 24 development, which is kind of nuts considering the fact that they've probably done 10 dev clicks just on it. I think I actually can see here, and it has been improved 4 times. So they have done 4 dev clicks, so about 100 mana each time, which is a lot. That's a lot of mana. Aside from that, you're seeing a bit of development over here in Switzerland, some 9 dev provinces, and then in Germany you got some 4s, some 6s, some 5s, but that's about it. Still nothing super crazy. And again, the same thing applies. 9 is basically the highest you're seeing outside of Constantinople because it costs a lot. Oh, we got a 10 dev province over here. But yeah, that's about it. It's very expensive to develop these lands. 11 down here in Africa. Good on you, Molly. Yo, Austria, George Bush over here declaring war on people for no reason, literally just to take whatever they want. They have conquered a ton of land over here in Greece from the Ottomans, and they actually attacked, I think it was Ferrara, who called in Castile. So now we got a massive war over here, and Castile has eaten up most of the Maghreb and a big portion of Italy, as well as like half of France. So that's a pretty big thing. Teutons have also grown up quite a bit. You can see this over here. Teutons continue to push over into Poland, but the rest of Poland was eaten by Austria. Austria looks like they got the Burgundian inheritance, but then France has lands up here all the way into East Frisia, so things are just weird. Meanwhile, England is conquering the entirety of the British Isles, and they're going to form Great Britain as soon as they hit Tech 10, I imagine. Also, Sweden has Jutland, and Muscovy has Skåneland, or whatever that is, and this Östergötland, or whatever that region is there called. So some weird border changes going on over here in Scandinavia. Boys, don't worry. Long Yemen cannot hurt you. I promise you. It cannot hurt you. It can, however, hurt Mamluks, who are gone, basically killed by Long Ethiopia and Long Yemen combined. So yeah, they're done. Also, QQ has a couple of random provinces over here in like Sirte and Benghazi area. So I don't know why, but that's what they did. The AI is doing weird stuff because the development is so low for everything. And in an interesting twist of fate here, the pariah of Europe, Castile, has been declared on, or Castile declared war. I don't know which one actually, but they are getting dominated, absolutely just dominated by France. And yeah, they're probably going to lose a bunch of the land that they took previously, and their borders are probably going to be pushed back at least to like southern France again. Also, I should mention we do have our first couple of colonies here for Portugal in West Africa, as well as over in the Caribbean, as well as over here in Bermuda, and actually we have Norway up here in Newfoundland. And I know that this is Newfoundland. I called this Newfoundland a couple videos ago, and people like dogpiled on me. This is Prince Edward Isle. Halifax is over here. This is Newfoundland, and this is Labrador. I know that now. Thank you, boys. See, we're learning together. Also, this is Iceland, and this is Greenland. Changed my mind. And this right here is the homies, who are the wonderful supporters of the channel here, the YouTube members. If you want to consider joining, you'll get early access to the videos and exclusive Discord roles and chats, as well as a monthly multiplayer game that is held in the Discord. So if you want to join any of those, make sure you check out the join button below the video and become one of the homies. And within like minutes of me unpausing, This province over here in Newfoundland has become Norway's new capital, as they have been exiled because Denmark was annexed by Muscovy, as well as the rest of their land was split between England and Muscovy. So yeah, Norway is now a new world nation, and it's kind of like a exile sort of thing. Maybe they could become the Elysia of this timeline, right? France has not only pushed Castile out of France for the most part, they've also taken northern Iberia, and now they are going to lose a bunch of northern France to England. So they're migrating, I guess. Also, Austria is doing absolutely insane. They've taken over a ton of the land over here in Lotharingia, and they have taken over a ton of the development of Italy, as well as they're pushing well into the Balkans over here, and they have Constantinople. Meanwhile, the Ottomans are getting dominated by QQ of all people. So yeah, national ideas are much more important when you don't have a strong economy to back you up. Also, very funny, Ottomans over here is just like Romania minus Transylvania. I think that's funny, at least. And very interestingly, Zaporozhye has appeared. They are the Sikh Rada, which is a special, unique government type with their own buttons and everything. And you can see here, they're a horde. They're a horde, which is really cool. I love this. I need to play these guys. I really need to play these guys. My friends, the Battle Pope has been pushed out of Rome, but he has inherited quite a bit of land here in southern France, looking pretty good. All things considered, the name is pretty good. And Austria just continues to steamroll through everybody. Austria has taken even more land over here. I said the Ottomans had Romania. Well, now they don't. Now the Austrians do. And for some reason, Hamburg is over here in Iberia. I don't know why. They also have Holland. So Hamburg is going for the tall center of trade route, I suppose. And the Ottomans are an absolute just sliver along the coast here and through Anatolia. And for better or for worse, Long Yemen has been sliced and diced by QQ, and they have been pushed back down to where they belong. Meanwhile, Norway continues to colonize their new homeland, but they do have some competition over here, some funny-speaking Englishmen. Meanwhile, the Pope has lost Rome to Austria, but they have gained a ton of land over here in southern France. But Austria continues to just dominate, pushing the Ottomans out of Romania for the most part, and the Ottomans, for the most part, are just a very tiny sliver of what they used to be. And on the development front, it is still very much mostly 3 dev provinces with a couple of 4 dev provinces here, but Riga is 12 development, an absolute metropolitan hub here in the desolate lands of the Baltic states. And Great Britain has formed as predicted, but not before they conquered a large portion of the eastern parts of Iberia, as well as over here in the Basque Country. So yeah, Great Britain having a very solid game. Good enough to make them the number 4 great power after Austria, which is absolutely just running away with it. And then QQ with half of their development. Ming is doing okay, obviously, where they have to embrace the institution. But yeah, it's honestly just, it's a free-for-all right now. It's really hard to say who is going to win. Adal is in 8th spot with less than 200 development. So clearly there is a hierarchy that has sort of formed up, and we'll see how things go moving forward. We're not even 100 years in yet. And with a little over 200 years left in the game, we've got a couple of really interesting happenings going on. Mostly we have Somalia has formed and has taken over southern Africa, the entirety of East Africa, Madagascar, and the Horn of Africa. Also, Siam has formed, I assume Ayutthaya, and has pushed well up into southern China, splitting a ton of the land with this Kelantan, or whatever that is. I don't know. I've never heard of it. And Japan has conquered Korea, pushed and established the protectorate of Manchukuo, and they took Nanjing. Moving on, Russia has formed, and they are a 1-province minor in whatever this area is called over by Archangel. So yep, they're a non-factor. QQ has migrated a bit north and is now bordering the White Sea, with Riga getting beat up on by the Teutons, having the most developed province in the world, I think. 39 development in Riga. I don't even know how they got the development up this high. They must just be sinking literally all of their extra mana into it. And to put that into perspective, Constantinople is only 27. Other noteworthy provinces are Goslar over here is 27, Magdeburg is 27, Leipzig is 24. It's just crazy how much development is going on over here in Riga. Sweden developed this Dalaskogen, or whatever, that fallen copper mine, trying to get the most production they possibly can over it to float their horrible economy. Also, very funnily, Austria has Sweden, and Sweden is like mostly not Sweden, at least not the developed parts of Sweden. Great Britain has continued to conquer Iberia, pushing Portugal out of Iberia, and sadly, they have annexed Norway. So that's a thing. The Norwegians have been destroyed and removed from their own homeland here in Newfoundland. F in the chat, boys. The British also have established the 13 colonies of Florida, and the Portuguese have colonized the entirety of the Caribbean, as well as Brazil, and they're pushing down into La Plata as well. Australia remains a desolate wasteland with literally no colonies, as does the majority of the Spice Islands, though Brunei has conquered a bit of the land over here, and Majapahit has united Java as well as Bali and a couple of these islands over here. And in 1821, things looking pretty interesting, and a lot of different colors around that you may not have seen before. The New World is mostly Great Britain, but we do have some Brazilian provinces up there in Saskatchewan and Cascadia. Good old Ternation, Costa Rica. What in Ternation? Cuba has broken free from Portugal and conquered most of Colombia, splitting it with Great Britain, who ended up digging out the Panama Canal. Brazil is an independent nation that has actually reformed from Portugal, hence the random Brazilian provinces in Africa that has been split with Austria and the Teutons, apparently. We're going to take a look at that. Chile, also independent, as is all of Portugal's former colonies. And good old Chilean South Africa, we all know about that one, the Portuguese-speaking Chilean colony of South Africa, right next to good old Zulu here, holding their rifle, looking very powerful. And in the end, actually, Congo did pretty good, but we're looking for Somalia, who is the dominant nation over here in the entirety of Africa for the most part. All sub-Saharan Africa, the Horn of Africa, West Africa, East Africa, all looking pretty Somalian. We have Australia over here looking pretty good, but you can't forget about Australia, right next to Somali, Victoria, and Bruneian Australia. The Spice Islands split between a massive Kedah, who is like a one-province minor up here in the beginning with Brunei, and then Ternate, but we cannot forget about Mughal North Sulawesi, so that's a thing. And of course, Chilean Indonesia. Everybody knows about the Chilean colony of Indonesia over here in Java, right? Of all the nations to see in the Philippines, I wouldn't have guessed it would be Hadramut, who is a nation from over here in southern Arabia. And another nation that I'm seeing over here in Manchuria and northern China is Ilkhanate. And I don't know why, because those guys are from like here, and I don't even know how they would even be here, because I'm pretty sure they're an event spawn nation, so I have no idea how Ilkhanate is over here. And to be honest with you, very funnily, Japan was completely collapsed, split between Brunei and Mughals, and then people were just picking at the bone. You got Kedah, you have Japanese lands, you have Ceylon, you have Ilkhanate, you have Cochin, you have Manchu. Of course, Mughals got in on some of this, and even a bit of Chagatai. I have no idea what happened to Japan. I have no idea. And obviously the big green bear in the room is the Mughals. They are indeed not the Emperor of China. That honor would go to Siam, who at one point did control the majority of the development in China, but now they are, they're gone. They're basically just, what is this, Laos? I think this is Laos or Cambodia. I think Cambodia, Laos. I don't know the exact modern borders, but yeah, Siam is not really in Siam anymore, so that's a thing. And as far as Europe goes, Austria ended up being the #1 guy, I would say, with Great Britain doing very respectfully. Teutons doing very good over in Russia, as well as over in the Poland area, Ruthenia, pushing all the way through Norway, but still outshined by the absolute monstrosity that is Austria in this game. And also my favorite form of Iceland is Congolese North Atlantic Islands, taking over the Inner Hebrides as well as the Outer Hebrides. Congo, colonial AF. And of course, we do have an independent Saxony in here. They are the only independent nation that is not Britain or Austria in Germany. Also, how about Cyprus over here? 2 provinces in Aleppo and Tanab or whatever, not in Cyprus. I don't know why, but that's where they are. And because of their colonial empire, Great Britain finishes the #1 great power, very closely followed by Austria, and then Mughals are actually quite a bit below them, with Somalia looking very respectable in the 4th slot, just edging out the Teutonic Order, with Kedah at 1200 development, Chile with a little over 11, and Brazil with a little under 11. And we're going to take a look at the development memo, but I'm curious who you guys think has the most developed provinces in the world, because I think you might be surprised. The development map mode is very interesting looking in this timeline. You still have quite a bit of 3 dev provinces just spread throughout the world. Obviously, with the glacial lands, it's going to be tough for most of the land to be developed. But there are some noteworthy ones, like this Lemberg, which is 43, and most of the coal provinces are going to be super overdeved. 38, 32, 29, 29, 29, 27, 29. London over here at 42, very respectful, with Derby and Chester at 36 and 37. We've got a 35 down here in southern Provence. Asturias is at 35. But how about that Saxony over here with Altmark at 46? Anhalt also at 46, and just basically all of their provinces in the high 30s or the low 40s. I don't know why they have so much development, but they definitely do. Riga got passed up. They were the most dev province in the world, but now they are only 43. And funnily, the coast of Norway over here, the fjords, are 30 plus for every single province, which is awesome. Well, whatever this one is, Hålogaland is 20, but still, we don't have to talk about that one. But yeah, taking a look around, I think the highest dev province in the world, I'm taking a look around and I don't see anything higher than 46. So I think it may be 46 is the highest dev province in the world. And I actually didn't even know that the ledger would show this, but yes, Anhalt and Altmark are the two most developed provinces in the world at 46. But Mogadishu, an absolute metropolitan, beautiful thing, over at 45. Lemberg, Qasr Ibrahim, and Riga, 200 order provinces, all at 43. And then Rothenburg and London held by Great Britain at 42. So yeah, quite a few provinces with the plus 50 here. That attack bonus and capital terrain in Prov is a broken tooltip from Tinto. So shout out Tinto for the broken tooltips. Religiously, Europe is all Catholic, as is the New World entirely. And Asia is an absolute mess. Shinto pushed a bit over here, but the most part it's Sunni, with Hindus over here that were unconverted, with Confucians, but Buddhists, when Siam had pushed up into here, converted quite a bit of China, but it's all Sunni, and then a little bit of Hindu over here, and then Catholic down under. A Shia holdout over here in Arabia, but for the most part, it's all Sunni fetishist, and then a little bit of Coptic over here in Africa. Culturally, it's all Austrian, and it always has been. Everything from over here in Romania, over into Lombardy, down into Sicily is all Austrian. And then the Bavarians have pushed the Czechs out of Czechia. The Prussians have pushed up into the Baltic states. The French cultures have been consolidated into just two cultures, and the Highlanders were incorporated into the Scottish culture. Castilian dominates the Iberian Peninsula, splitting Portuguese with the Andalusians, and the Balkans are, as they should be, entirely Greek. Turks have pushed eastwards, and the Armenians and the Kurds are mostly Turkish now, and Persian culture dominates Mesopotamia, and Khorassani culture dominates Persia. All is as it should be in Russia, with Novgorodian, the primary culture, with Muscovite out here on the fringes in the rural parts. Manchu is in the Chinese group, and it looks like for the most part things over in China are about what you would expect them to be, as is the cultures in India. Not seeing a whole lot of new stuff that really jumps out at me. A couple of Brazilian provinces here in South America, which is yeah, the culture of Chile is Brazilian and Portuguese, so that's a thing. In the entirety of the left coast of America is Portuguese, with American, the beautiful American culture, making up most of the development up here in North America, splitting it with some English provinces. This video was a lot of fun to make, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already, because there is a ton of content that you're missing out on if you are not subscribed. If you have a suggestion of something that you'd like to see in the future, make sure you leave it in the comments below. And like I said, the homies get early access to the video, so consider clicking the join button and supporting the channel that way. And a huge shout out to the patrons who keep the channel going, get early access to videos and exclusive Discord benefits using the link in the description. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until next time, stay chill.